beginner, intermediate. I start with 3 red springs for my footwork. Average is 2 reds, so if you want to do a little more or less, you can change it up. I'm going with 3 reds. So back onto your back, and we'll start with footwork red way. First, I want you to think lengthening your spine, pressing the back of the shoulders down, pulling the belly in. Take a deep breath up high in the rib cage. Keep your low back in neutral, just whatever feels comfortable. On your next exhale, you're going to push away, lengthening the legs. So as we're going back and forth, we are in our first position with the feet, heels together, toes apart. Squeezing those heels together, and every time the legs lengthen straight, think squeezing the back of the thighs together. Remember to push away on that exhale, forcing the air out of the lungs. Every time you bring it in, your knees bend. Think pulling up on the pelvic floor. Breath up high in the rib cage. We'll do 2 more. Exhale as you push away. When you bring it back in, turn your feet to parallel, lift the heels, and then push away. Remember, you can always do fewer reps if your legs get a little tired. With this one, try to keep the heels up too, like you're wearing high heel shoes to strengthen the ankles, the arches, even the calves and the feet. Your arms are long. Think about lengthening the back of the neck. So when you do that, your chin will get a little closer to your chest to lengthen the back of the neck. You just don't want to push your chin up and shorten the back of the neck. Next time you push away, let's hold straight legs. Keeping them straight, drop the heels, and then lift the heels. Lower and lift. Hopefully you're still breathing. So taking a deep breath. You're going to lift the heels, keep them high. Keep the heels up as you bring it in halfway and do short range of motions, like little pulses. You're going to keep going with little pulses, just single leg. And whichever leg you take up, you could keep it bent or straight. Either one is fine. Just keep it a working leg so it's not wandering with the movement of the carriage. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Still keeping that heel elevated and that lower pushing leg. Your arms are still long. You're pressing the shoulders down. Now when you bring it back in, bring the carriage all the way home. Your feet are going to stay parallel but move up to heels. Flex the feet and then push away and bring it all the way back in. Going out and in. So your quads are working hard obviously as you push out, but think about the back of the thighs as you pull it in. Like you're doing the work, pulling the carriage in instead of the springs doing all the work. Remember, you're always pulling up on the pelvic floor. Focus on that lateral rib cage breathing, breath up high in the ribs. Your abs are still tight and pulled in the whole time. Exhale and push. We'll do 2 more, and then we're going to move on to single leg work next. With single leg work, it is going to be a little bit harder. So if you needed to, you could always take this time to change your springs. I'm going to tough it out and stay at the 3 reds. So we're on our right toes on the bar. Left leg is at tabletop. Push away and kick to the ceiling, bend, bring it in, and kick forward. So with that pushing leg, you could always move to the arch or heel if you need to. You don't have to stay on the toes. But if you can, elevate that right heel. Again, that feeling of having that high heel shoe on, keeping the ankles strong. Give yourself enough time to kick the leg to the ceiling and give yourself enough time to fully extend that lower leg. A lot of times you don't notice that lower leg kind of pushes out halfway and we just throw this leg to the ceiling. So try to make it look clean and make it look easy too. Exhale as you push away. We'll do 1 more. Push away and hold this last one. Kick the leg to the ceiling and pull it in. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can flex the foot. Take 1 more deep breath. And then you can bring it all the way back in. So left toes on the bar, right leg is up, push away and kick to the ceiling. Bend, bring it in and kick forward. Fully extending the lower leg. Trying to keep the ankles strong. Hopefully you're still working the back of the arms and your upper back too, pressing the shoulders down, still lengthening the back of the neck. I repeat myself over and over because you quickly forget about different areas. Let's hold the leg to the ceiling, lift and grab on and pull it in. flex the foot, and then bring it all the way back up. So with the carriage in, keep your feet on the bar. You're just gonna keep your knees together and do a little spine twist. Knees fall to one side. Bring the knees up and over to the other side. Now you come back to center, you're gonna bring yourself up to seated to reduce the tension. So for arm work, average is the red and the blue. Every reformer is a little different, so you could do more or less. I'm gonna do red and the blue. I feel like if I do too hard, I might get a little winded in the video. So now that we're back onto our back, we gotta pay a little bit more attention to where our pelvis is in this, because you're gonna be holding the legs up in space. So I want you to find your neutral. If you need to, rock your pelvis a little bit to feel imprint, arching, and then right in the middle will be neutral. You can put your hands on your pelvis to feel that too by bringing hip bones and pubic bone on the same plane, and you should feel this natural curve in your low back. Now the legs are going to come up to tabletop position, and you're going to try to maintain this position of the pelvis and the low back the whole time our legs are up here in space. So when you're ready, grab onto the straps over the shoulder rests, hands in the straps, arms are straight up and they start over your shoulders. Hold the belly in, take a deep breath, and then exhale as you press your hands down. Inhale, arms up, exhale, press. Try to force the air out of the lungs every time you press down. And with the legs here, tabletop, squeeze the inner thighs together, pull up on the pelvic floor. If you can work a little harder, try to send the legs out to straight, as long as you're not feeling any stress in the low back. Now another option too to work a little bit harder, we're going to try to add a flexion to the upper spine. So press down and curl up, and then you can rest head and shoulders and arms come up, or you can stay curled up the whole time as the arms go up and down. Squeeze the inner thighs together. If every time you curl up like this in flexion you feel a lot of stress in the neck, you can keep your head down. We'll do one more. Press down and hold it. Now your arms are going to go out to a T shape. Arms out to the side walls and press. Now with your legs out here in space, it is a lot of work for your abs. So if you do want to work a little harder, you can get the legs to a lower angle. But remember, you don't want to lose your neutral spine. You don't want the back to arch higher and higher. Every time you press, you're reaching your fingers down towards the foot bar. Remember, you're squeezing the legs together. Breath is up high in the rib cage. Now press down and hold it. Bend the elbows, bend the knees. Now you can take a little breather here if you need it. If you can work harder, add the flexion. You're going to curl up, look into the belly, lengthen arms and legs outward to straight, and then bend back in. Exhale, you press down, reach. Think squeezing the inner thighs together. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Do one more press out and hold it if you can. Straight arms, straight legs, squeeze the inner thighs together, reach a little further, and then you can rest back down. So we're going to do arm circles, and then we're going to save the 100 for last. So arms are straight to the ceiling, legs at least to tabletop, and then start your circles with the arms. Squeezing the inner thighs together. If you can work harder, extend those legs to straight. Our goal is to keep them straight the whole time. I know it's hard to do. We'll do one more. When you press down, hold so we can reverse the direction. Squeezing the inner thighs together, pulling up on the pelvic floor, constantly doing that full body scan. Think about every muscle group is working hard. Do one more circle. You can finish with your arms at the ceiling. Now for the 100 on this one, we're going to try to stay curled up the whole time and try to hold the legs out to straight the whole time. You can keep your head and shoulders down, and you can keep the legs at tabletop. So remember with the 100, inhaling 5 counts, exhaling 5 counts, 10 times. Arms are straight up, legs at tabletop to start. Take a deep breath. Press down, curl up and hold it. Pump in the arms, inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. Focus on squeezing the inner thighs together.
Every time you exhale, you're forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. Inhaling 5 counts, exhaling 5 counts. Think longer legs, even pointing the feet, reaching through the toes. So we have our last 2 10 counts. Reach longer arms. Now after this last exhale, hold everything still, curl up higher, and then you can rest back down. So go ahead and put your straps away on the shoulder rests. We're going to stay at this lighter tension that we had for our arms. We're going to do a set of bridging with this lighter tension. Hands are by your side. With this one, you are going to rock back so that you feel the imprint, trying to keep every vertebrae down onto the carriage. With this, toes on the bar is going to be harder. You can do arches or heels is going to be easier. I'm going to do toes. So start with feet about 3 inches apart, heels sit bone distance apart. Lead with the tailbone and peel your spine up. Lift the hips to the ceiling. Hold your hips up high. Now we're going to push the carriage away to almost straight legs and then pull it back in using the back of the thighs. Going out and pulling in. Still long arms reaching. Do one more. Pull it all the way in and hold it in with the back of the legs and then slowly roll down 1 vertebrae down at a time into your rest. Hold your carriage in for another deep breath. Exhale, lift the hips. Good, keep those heels up. If the back of the legs keep cramping up on you, you could always reset and do this on the arches or heels. Now hold the carriage in, try not to let it move, extend one leg to straight. This is optional, you could just keep going with both feet on the bar. This extra challenge makes it so much harder to bring that carriage in with a single leg. Now hold the carriage in, you're going to switch legs. Now you are trying to keep your pelvis stable, you are trying to keep your hips up. Going back and forth. So pressing the arms down. When you bring it in, hold the carriage in, rest on the foot, try to keep your carriage home as you roll down 1 vertebrae down at a time into your rest. It's a good time to take a hip stretch. So cross one ankle to the opposite knee and pull it into your chest. We'll do the same stretch on the other side. Now when you bring the carriage back, when you finish that stretch, you're going to come up to seated. And we're going to change the tension. 2 reds is average. If you want to do more, you can do more. I'm not going to go as heavy as what I do with footwork. I'm just going to do 2.5 springs for feet and straps. So back onto your back. So basically I have 2 reds and a blue for the feet and straps. When you're back onto your back, grab onto the straps over the shoulder rest. You're going to push away and put feet and straps. It's always safer to push out, then step in, kind of like you're climbing up a ladder. And then the next one. Alright, start with legs long, straight, and I want you to find your neutral spine. You want to have hip bones and hip bone on the same plane. Pull the belly in, breath up high in the rib cage, and we're going to start hinging at the hips. Inhale, legs up. Exhale when you press down. You want to feel the stretch in the back of the legs, and then press. So as you're going up and down, hinging at the hip joint, try not to change the position of the lumbar spine. I'll show you, trying to keep my arms out of the way. You don't want to feel low back going down, because I can go really far if I lose that neutral. But we're trying not to lose it, so really I can only go to here until my pelvis wants to rock back. So try to keep neutral if you can. And you should still feel a good stretch in the back of the legs. We'll do one more. Now the next time the legs go down, stay low. Heels together, toes apart. So we've turned out laterally. Squeeze the heels together, bend the knees, and then press out, lengthen the legs to straight. Bend on the inhale, exhale, press. Every time you lengthen those legs out to straight, think squeezing the back of the thighs together, pulling up on the pelvic floor, even force air out of the lungs as you press. Draw the navel in. Long arms are reaching. We'll do one more. And when you press out, hold the legs out to straight. The legs stay straight. They open out to the side walls as far as you can stretch and then press back to center. So inhale on the stretch, exhale on the strengthen. Gluing back to center. And every time those heels meet together, really try to activate those inner thighs. So pressing the shoulders down, so long arms reaching. So naturally when I lay on my back on the reformer, I always turn my palms up to face the ceiling, helps open up across the front of the chest. But you still want to think about pressing the arms downwards so you're still working your arms and your upper back while you're laying here. Now press together and hold together. I'm going to go into bow and arrow. So bow and arrow is kind of combining those last two exercises together. You could, some people also refer to it as Peter Pan, or stag is another one I've heard. So one leg straight, one leg bends, press back to center, and then do the same on the other side. One leg straight, one leg bends. So your visual for this one that I always give is, think of your torso as this perfect box, and your shoulders and your hips are the corners of that box, and your core is so tight and strong, your box is not tipping or swaying. So just moving through that ball and socket joint in your hips. Because all your weight wants to shift to the straight leg side, but don't let it. You got to think of the bent leg as your counterbalance. Hopefully feel those inner thighs working. Every time the heels meet together, still squeeze the heels together, making the inner thighs work harder. We'll just do one more to even up the set here. I feel like we did a lot. Now when you bring the legs back to center, still maintaining neutral. Hip bones and pubic bone on the same plane. We're doing our circles. So both legs lift to the ceiling, open out, and pressing down. This should feel like a smooth, fluid movement through your hips. Hopefully feel that hamstring stretch when the legs are up, inner thigh stretch, and then strengthening as you press down and around. We'll do one more in this direction, and then you're going to pause at the bottom and go in the opposite direction. Make the inner thighs work hard too when those legs meet the center. When you press down, you want to think about pressing with the back of the thighs and your glutes, not the low back. Longer legs. Now finish with the legs at the ceiling. So bring your legs up and you come to a 90-degree angle. Ankles are straight up over your hips, still maintaining neutral, pulling the belly in, pressing your arms down. So this, both legs open to the side walls and then come back to center without moving the carriage. If you can't tell if you're moving the carriage, you can always wrap your hands around the side and feel if your fingertips are rubbing on the rails, you know that you're moving the carriage. So we're trying to work those hamstrings to keep pressing, keeping those legs strong. Now hold the legs back to center. Now don't move right leg. We're trying to keep right leg strong and stable. Left leg goes out to the side. Bring it to center. Don't move right. Left leg goes out. Left leg comes back. Keep that right hip strong. Don't let the right hip leave the carriage. We'll do one more, and then we're going to do 5 on the other side. So left leg is strong and straight. Right leg goes out on the inhale, back to center on the exhale. If you can, make those inner thighs work hard too when the legs meet to center for that quick moment. Hopefully feel your obliques working hard too to keep your pelvis stable and your core strong. Now when the legs are back to center, hold together. Keep the legs together and just stretch. So now both legs come to your face, and I'm going to let you lose your imprint here, or let you lose your neutral, so you will feel like you're kind of rolling that low back up. And it just feels so good to let your hips feel heavy. It feels like you're hanging from your feet. Just breathe. Now bend your knees, roll your spine back down if your hips have come up, and then use the strength in the legs to press. So we are going to go into short spine. With short spine, if your headrest was up at any time, you do want to make sure it's down. I should have said that actually before the bridging. But I just naturally never lift my headrest up because I like to keep my shoulders and ears on the same plane. So this one, we're going to go into legs overhead and a lift. But I'm going to first do an easier version, and then you can choose to progress a little further if you want to. So the easier version is just doing the motion with the legs. You bring the legs towards your face as far as you can stretch, rotate heels together, toes apart, bend your knees like a froggy squat, and then press the legs out to straight, turn your feet back to parallel. Legs come overhead, you turn out as you bend bend for a froggy squat, and then you press. Now you can keep doing this, legs up, bend and froggy, but if you're ready to lift the hips up, we will be coming to your shoulder blades. If you have osteoporosis, it's never recommended to lift up onto your shoulder blades and doing that deep flexion, that weight on your cervical spine. So with this one, you can just keep hips down. Already went through that. Both legs come overhead towards your face. Now here's where you get to that deep stretch, and you're gonna lift your hips up so you come up on your shoulder blades. Now heels together, toes apart, bend the knees like a froggy squat, roll the spine back down, and then press into the straps. So it's never a good idea to look left and right when you're up there on your shoulders. Bring the legs overhead, lift up just to the shoulder blades, bend your knees like a froggy squat, roll the spine down, and then pressing back in. We'll do one more like that. I'm gonna also give you another challenge after we finish this. Bend the knees, roll down, and then pressing into the straps. So now on the next one, I'm gonna make it a little bit harder on your core because we're gonna be a little stiffer on the lift. There's always a couple ways to lift into the short spine. You could do the hinge first and then the lift, but right now we're just gonna lift kind of like magician that we do on the tower. So you're stiff as a board, tighten your abs, pull the belly in, lift your hips right away so you kind of come up to that same shoulder stand position, hold it, stabilize your carriage, bend your knees like a froggy squat, roll the spine back down, and then press heels down past your tailbone. Turn your feet back to parallel. If you like the previous version, hinge first, then lift. But if you can, lift the hips right away, you start to come in, squeeze heels together, bend the knees, roll the spine down, press heels down and lengthen out. We'll do one more. Tighten your abs, you lift, bend the knees, roll down, and then pressing back out to straight. Alright, so after that we are coming out of the straps. It's always safer to come out one leg at a time, so remember to keep weight under one foot, bend, take your foot out, reach that leg long for your foot bar, and then take the other foot out. Now you can just drop your straps or you can put them on the shoulder rest, but we are going to bring the carriage all the way home and then bring yourself up to seated. So now that we're sitting on the carriage, we are going to reduce the tension. So with this one, it's just going to be one red spring is average. You could do more if you like heavier for arm work. I'm just going to stick with one red spring. So now we're going to turn your face towards the ropes. Hands are going to be in the straps. Arms are straight reaching down. So with this you want to sit as tall as possible. If this bothers the low back, to sit with the legs straight, you could do a little bend in the knees and sit tall, or you could sit cross Indian style for now. But straight arms are going to be pressing back on every exhale. I'm going to go back to my straight legs. With the legs straight, you could do ankles crossed or parallel. Either one is fine. So a lot of times we naturally try to do this big motion, swinging back and forth and kind of getting momentum. If you can, start with your hands next to your hips and then go back. Hands come only next to hips and then you press back. That shoulder range of motion is so much harder because you have to work hard in both directions. Remember, you're always drawing the navel in like you're in a tight corset around your waist. Do two more. Press and hold it now. Focus on stabilizing your shoulders. We're going to do our tricep press. So bend at the elbows and then press right back down. Bend on the inhale, exhale, press. Still grow tall, still breathing. Squeezing the inner thighs together, still pulling up on the pelvic floor. Do one more. Hold it if you can. Stay there and breathe. And then you can finally relax the arms. So we're going to go into bicep curls next. If you are sitting cross Indian style legs, you're going to want to bring your feet out in front of you. You could do straight legs or the bent legs with your feet down. Either one is fine. But don't sit cross Indian style legs and try to recline back. You might fall off the back of your reformer. So hold the C curve. Elbows are up. Exhale when you bicep curl. Now I naturally go into C curve, but if you are a student here with osteoporosis or even osteopenia, if you want to be more cautious, you could do this with a flat back and not flexing the lumbar spine. So you could just stay straight. If you can see the difference between the two. Either one is fine. even if you have a strong, healthy spine, it is still kind of fun to change it up between the two, doing flat back sometimes when you're working out, and then the flexion. Do one more. Now lengthen your arms to straighten, hold it, turn your palms to face each other, and on this one, I'm going back to my C curve, you're gonna open the arms out like a T. So they open out to the side walls, and then swing them forward. Exhale when you open, inhale forward. Now with Pilates, the slower you move, the harder you work. And also the easier it is to keep your form. So really nothing's fast or jerky. And you do want to try to make these exercises look easy, even though they're not. And you're always going through that full body scanning, but every muscle group is working hard to glue the legs together, pull up on the pelvic floor, focus on the transverse down, the lowest part of the abdomen pulling in, breath is up high in the rib cage. Now you're going to open the arms and just hold it. So stretch the arms out to the side wall, stay there, breathe, and then bring your arms forward and stretch. Now the next one, we're going to get some flexion and extension in our spine. And we're going to do, kind of looks like rowing. You're going to cross your ropes, making an X out of them. And I also choke up higher up onto the rope, so I actually hold above the strap. If you like the straps, or if your reformer has handles, you can hold onto the handles. Either one is fine. So sit tall, arms are straight to start. Just bend the elbows wide to the side walls and then lengthen the arms. Exhale when you bend. Remember, you're pulling the belly in, you're pulling the shoulder blades together. Forcing the air out. Now I want you to bend the arms and hold it. Don't look left or right. If you need to, you could see it first. You're just going to arch backwards into an extension. And then fold forward over the leg. And again, arching back into extension, and then forward. So don't think falling back into the springs, just arching your spine, and then fold forward. We'll do one more. Bending and extending, strengthen the upper back, and then stretching forward. Now go ahead and uncross the ropes, put your straps away. I'm gonna end up staying on the same tension at the red spring, but we're gonna come up onto our hands and knees. So hands are gonna be on the bar, knees on the carriage, but knees are right up underneath your hips. Your feet touch the shoulder rest, and you're gonna come down into a straight line between shoulders and knees. This is just a modified plank. You're gonna push away with the arms, staying stiff and straight between your shoulders and your knees, and then right back in. So this is just a modified long stretch here, stand on your knees. On the next one, if you could work a little harder, bring your shoulders over the bar. You're gonna still keep the feet to the shoulder rest, just to keep it more simple. You're gonna end up lifting up to straight legs. So hold this plank and just push back and forth. The back and forth motion is optional. You could just hold the plank, breathe, do a couple reps on your knees, come up and do a couple reps of straight legs. Going away on the inhale, exhale, pulling the carriage back in. Now with the upper back, you want to feel those shoulder blades spreading apart. You want to keep your neck in neutral so you're not dropping chin to your chest and looking into your belly, or sinking face to floor. Do one more. When you bring it back in, you can keep it in, come on down to your knees, and then sit back to your heels into a little child's pose stretch. So we're going to do knee stretches next. Add the blue spring on to the red. So right now I have a red and a blue. If you like to work your legs a little harder, you could do more. So I think I'll add the quarter on. You're going to have your feet to the shoulder rest still, but sit halfway back to your heels. But this one I'm going to do a round back. So rounding the low back, hollow out the abdomen. You could do this with a straight spine too as an option. But you're going to push away with the legs and then back in. So your goal is to keep your shoulders stable, your arms are strong, and just go back and forth, moving at hips and knees. It's kind of like squats. If you were standing on the floor, you just be going down into squats. Feel those thighs working hard to push away. If you don't feel them, think about them. Remember, you're always drawing the navel in, always pulling up on the pelvic floor, or you could always change your tension, go up or down on that. But if you could work a little harder, we're going to knee stretches too. You're going to lift the knees up. So knees are just going to hover off the carriage a few inches, and then you go back and forth. Legs away, legs come in. Still only moving hip and knee joints. Squeezing the glutes. 3 more. When you bring it back in, keep it in, and then you're going to rest your knees back down. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the blue and the yellow. into front splits. There's always different ways to do this stretch. So I'm gonna start with most simple. Keep one foot back to the shoulder rest, other foot goes forward to the wood platform, and then you push away and stretch. If this bothers hips or knees, we could always come off to the side and do a little differently. So you keep a foot on the floor, and then you can lift up to lengthen this way if you want. Either way, you still get a good stretch. I'm gonna go back to kneeling on my carriage with a foot forward. Now if you're ready to make this stretch a little deeper, you could take the foot up to the bar and go out from here. What I like about the stretch with your foot up on the bar is you get a much deeper hip flexor stretch when the carriage is home. We'll do one more push away. When you bring the carriage back in, keep it in. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So if you needed to, you could step off the other side of your form and put your foot on the floor for the lunge. Otherwise, we're going to go into the splits. You can start off low on the wood for a few reps, pushing away. If you know that you're ready for more stretch, bring your foot up to the bar and then push away from there. Sure that that kneeling knee is comfortable and not in any pain. Now try to do more stretches on your tighter side if you want to try to even it up. Now when you bring the carriage back in, we're going to take both feet back. You can lay your feet to the shoulder rest, lay them down flat on the carriage, but just sit back to your heels, go into a little child's pose stretch. Bring the carriage all the way back in. And then after that, we're just going to leave it at a couple red springs. You can leave it at your middle, whatever you like to leave your reformer at. But then after that,